A direct impact from Hurricane Beryl is appearing increasingly probable along the lower to perhaps middle Texas Gulf Coast Sunday evening into Monday morning. The track shifted north. Let's talk about it in this Friday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup.
Thank you to Storm Pro Solution for sponsoring today's Texas Weather Roundup. You can find them on the web at stormprosolution.com.
Good morning. It is Friday, the 5th of July, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Bully-in-Chief David Reimer. Good morning. My apologies for the poor camera work here. I literally have the sun as a backdrop, and it's brighter than a firework behind me right now. My apologies for that, but it's better than staring at the sun. We are going to be increasingly busy over the next couple of days as Hurricane Beryl poses a direct threat now to the state of Texas and several regions there within, with the potential for dangerous hurricane-force winds, dangerous coastal flooding from a storm surge, the potential for tornadoes, and heavy rainfall that could cause flooding. Let's go ahead and get into it by talking about what's going on today and tomorrow. Not Hurricane Beryl. We're going to have scattered showers and thunderstorms with a southward moving cool front. You can see it is going to be quite stormy today, tonight, and even into tomorrow across the northern two-thirds of Texas. As someone who has to fly across the country in about 4.5 hours, I am not particularly looking forward to having to fly into DFW this evening, but it is what it is. So again, we are going to have scattered showers and storms. Some of the storms will produce heavy rainfall, cloud-to-ground lightning, gusty winds, maybe a small bit of hail, but the strong winds, blowing dust, etc., with delays to aviation are anticipated across the northern two-thirds of Texas. You could see by tomorrow we could even have some activity in southeastern Texas. I mean, the same thing for today, honestly. This afternoon, tomorrow afternoon, the typical coastal activity from the sea breeze. Locally heavy rainfall, isolated flooding possible. All right, let's get into the latest from the National Hurricane Center on Beryl. Beryl made landfall near Cancun this morning, not long ago. Over the next 18 hours, Beryl's going to move northwest across the tip of the Yucatan Peninsula, likely weakening substantially to a tropical storm. So when Beryl weakens to a tropical storm later today, don't be surprised. Don't be like, oh, it's going away. Bye-bye. No. If only it were that easy and true, but alas, Beryl is probably going to make it into the Gulf of Mexico by midnight tonight. And once it's in the Gulf, it's probably going to start intensifying again. The track has shifted further to the north in this morning's National Hurricane Center update, though not as far north as some model data shifted overnight. These forecasts, a lot of wigwagging occurs, so some model data may shift north drastically and then shift back south, which is why you don't typically see large shifts in the forecast with each update from the National Hurricane Center. That is not how it typically works, because you need to balance these with the respect to the fact there's a lot of wigwagging going on. But the trend last evening was a large shift north. If that holds true, we're probably going to have to see this cone and the track forecast adjusted further to the north in the updates around 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. And I'll show you that in a minute. But regardless, the trend is slower, which is both, well, it's some good news, but not really, in the fact that, yeah, it gives more time to prepare, but unfortunately, the more time this thing has over the Gulf of Mexico, the more it may intensify. So the trend is slower. Now, forecast to make landfall as a near Category 2 hurricane, perhaps, around 1 a.m. Monday. Maximum sustained winds around 85 miles an hour. So technically a Category 1, but you always want to prepare for a higher category level. Typically 1 category level. So if we're saying a 1 right now, you need to prepare for a 2. If in subsequent forecasts this jumps up to a 2, you need to start preparing for a 3. At this point, we would advise the lower and middle Texas Gulf Coast. That would be from Brownsville all the way up to Corpus Christi to Port Aransas to be prepared for a hurricane landfall Sunday evening into Monday. Once Beryl makes landfall, it's going to continue slowing, and it's going to turn north. The result being by 1 a.m. Wednesday, it may be near Austin as a tropical depression with gusty winds but heavy rainfall. The worst of the impacts from Beryl are going to be to the north and east of its landfall location in terms of strong onshore flow, the potential for significant storm surge. Coastal flooding, think Alberta a couple weeks ago, except worse. The potential for heavy rainfall, perhaps a couple days of heavy rainfall potential. Strong winds, the potential for tornadoes. Threat for tornadoes will increase by Sunday evening to the northeast and east of the landfall location, and we may have some tornado threat continuing through Tuesday and Wednesday. The potential for a busy period of weather. Now, let's talk about the model data. Now, here is a beautiful graphic put together by doctoral candidate Tomer Berg, and I probably butchered that, out of the University of Oklahoma. He has done an amazing job of compiling and creating data sets and graphical outputs for tropical cyclones and a lot of stuff. This includes the multi-model ensemble consensus. So we're talking hundreds of different deterministic weather model runs, slightly initialized differently, thrown into a single graphic, and that gives you confidence in the forecast, or it helps show that maybe there's not as much confidence. You can see that multi-model ensemble consensus has shifted north into Texas further. Okay, you know what, camera? I am about to throw you out the window. I'm going to throw you on the beach, and I'm going to let the ocean eat you. I'm on vacation about 15 miles south of Atlantic City, Jersey right now for another 2 hours. So again, this is going to be shifting north. Notice that just because the track right now is around McAllen, Brownsville, there is some chance this shifts even further north towards Corpus Christi, maybe Port Aransas in subsequent forecast. After landfall, it's going to turn north and then northeast. It's not going to be moving very quickly, so we're going to have to deal with rain. Here is the, I guess it would have helped if I had loaded the arrival timing here. Here is the most likely arrival time for sustained tropical storm force winds. That would be 39 miles per hour or higher, which is pretty much when preparations need to be complete and you're hunkering down. Sunday 8 p.m., maybe a little later if this takes a northern shift. And notice those wind probabilities are increasing farther north now. So again, you need to be ready by sunset Sunday along the Texas Gulf Coast. And then it's going to get windy. Now, I want to emphasize here, at this point, we are not talking about a Harvey-level event in terms of wind, precipitation, tornadoes, etc. We're talking about a Category 1 to Category 2 landfall. Harvey was a 4. Now, I will admit that Harvey was expected to be a 2 to a 3 at landfall, and it bumped up quickly. We're going to keep a very close eye on data. Really, the next 18 to 24 hours are going to tell us a lot in terms of how Beryl makes it over the Yucatan, what its shape and intensity and overall ability to intensify are once it makes into the Gulf of Mexico. If it comes off the Yucatan in a well-organized fashion, is able to get itself together again pretty quickly, yeah, we could have a problem. But at this point, that's an uncertainty. We're going to be keeping a close eye on it. The anticipation is we will have hurricane watches, storm surge watches, and tropical storm force or tropical storm watches. There we go. There's a wordful. Issued for the Texas Gulf Coast later this morning or this afternoon. We're probably going to have some sort of coastal evacuation, at least voluntary for some areas. We would encourage you to follow the advice and directives of your local officials in regards to that. So again, Hurricane Beryl made landfall near Cancun this morning. It'll weaken to a tropical storm as it moves over the Yucatan over the next 18 hours, making it into the Gulf of Mexico late this evening, early tomorrow morning. From there, it's going to move west-northwest, slowing as it approaches landfall on the lower or middle Texas Gulf Coast late Sunday evening into Monday morning. please keep in mind, and something we're going to have to watch for, is Beryl may not intensify much tomorrow. It may take most of tomorrow to get itself back together. But once it gets itself back together, we could see a more substantial, quickened intensification pace. And that could continue until landfall late Sunday into early Monday. A lot of folks have been asking, are we going down there? Yes, we are. A lot of us are going to be down there. I will not, but that's because, well, I'm Baldy in Chief. I sit in my magical super-duper office, which I'm flying back to this evening to do the coverage. But yeah, we're going to have storm chasers down there. We'll have live video, etc. All right, so how much rain are we talking? Well, the forecast for rain, the track of this is going to play a lot into who gets the most rain. It's going to rain. At this point, let's just say 5 to 10 inches of rain. The Rio Grande Valley, the Coastal Bend, the Victoria Crossroads, South Central Texas, into parts of the Rio Grande Plains. If this track shifts further to the east, which it might, that would start to lower rainfall totals west of I-35, or at least concentrate them more on I-35 to I-37 and expand them further up into southeast Texas and the Brazos Valley. I want to emphasize at this point, we are not talking about a situation where we're going to have 20 to 40 to 50 inches of rain like Harvey, like Allison, like Imelda. But some folks could see a lot of rain out of this. And yeah, we'll have some flooding issues. We're going to have tornado issues in terms of probably a lot of tornado warnings along and east of the landfall location beginning Sunday, maybe through Wednesday. Threat for strong winds, coastal flooding, storm surge. And the threat for coastal flooding along and east of the landfall location of this all the way through the Texas, maybe even parts of Louisiana Gulf Coast. Strong onshore flow, dangerous rip currents, significant beach erosion. So, yeah, it's going to rain. And keep in mind, it's even without Beryl's influence, we're going to have rain across a lot of the state this weekend, today, tomorrow, and next week, just because we're going to have a lot of tropical moisture in place. That was already going to happen before Beryl showed up, and now we're just going to have more moisture. So, yeah, we're going to be busy. It's going to rain. We're going to have some flooding issues. But some folks are also going to get much-needed rainfall. All right, let's talk about temperatures over the next couple of days across the state. Highs today, northern half of the state, 70s and 80s, thanks to the rain and the cool front. Southern half of the state, 90s, triple digits. It's hot. It's summer. Tomorrow, cooler, more cloud cover, highs 80s, low 90s, northern half of the state, southern half of the state, 90s, triple digits. Warming up on Sunday a bit as we have a bit of a lull. Triple digits return, western half of the state, 90s, eastern half of the state. And then on Monday, reinforcing little wave with highs in the 80s, Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, Texoma, Northeast Texas, 80s, 90s, southern two-thirds of the state. And then by Tuesday, rain galore, highs in the 80s to low 90s, rain cooled air probable. So again, we are going to have issues with Beryl over the next couple of days. The forecast may shift further north later. If it does, we could see some of these threats expand closer to the coastal bend, the coastal plains, maybe in parts of southeast Texas, while those of you in the Rio Grande Valley, if this actually goes north of you a bit, you may not have as much rain. But given the approach path of Beryl, we may actually all have onshore flow for a while. So again, Beryl's going to be weakening over the next 18 hours to a tropical storm as it moves northwest over the Yucatan. After that, it is going to make it into the Gulf, and then, well, we're going to have to keep a very, very close eye on it. All right, the plans for content today. I would like to produce a video this evening, but unfortunately, in about 2 to 3 hours, I'm going to be taking a bus from here to Philly. From Philly, I'm going to get to sit for a couple hours where I'm going to depart for DFW late this afternoon to this evening. But there's going to be storms at DFW, so who knows how long that's going to take. So we probably are not going to have another video before late this evening, but we're going to have a lot of content posted on the social media. We'll do a good job of posting content directly to the community tab at the Texas Weather Center. So head over there for the latest updates, graphics, because, I mean, I can't make a video on a plane, but I can, post updates, etc., pay for the internet and do all that. And we have meteorologist Jason Cooley also posting frequent updates. So, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And as always, you can get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radar. You can track Beryl's progress and more on the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Just search for Texas Storm Chasers where you download apps for your device. And again, we're going to be doing our best to keep you updated over the next couple of days. It's going to be busy, but we'll get you through it. And remember, it's just a forecast, so it's going to be okie dokie. All right, we'll chat with y'all later on today. And again, keep a close eye on Beryl. We'll chat with you later. Have a good one. God bless.